Okay, now my microphone works. This makes zero sense. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, I think my audio works now. Maybe. I don't know. At least it's lighting up. There we go. Yeah, I think my audio works. Can someone tell me if you can hear me? Please. Please tell me someone can hear me. Because I think it's good. I have the green bars. All right, someone tell me if you can hear me now. Please, for the love of God, please tell me someone can hear me. Can we hear? Can we hear? All good. Oh my God, I'm sorry, everybody. I am so sorry. Dude, I don't know what this YouTube thing is just killing me. I'm too old for this. I set up my settings. I try to change my microphone, and I get in here, and it's just like, hang on, audio doesn't work. So, oh my goodness, sorry everybody. Oh my God, I gotta get this figured out. Oh, how's everybody doing tonight? How we doing? First midweek slate. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. Got my green tea. I'm ready to go. All right, we're starting fresh here. Got 7 people in here. Probably just lost a bunch of people because of technical difficulties, but that's okay. That's okay. We're still figuring this whole thing out, you know? All right, so here's how it's going to work tonight. We got all 10 Premier League matches in the midweek here. There are 2 La Liga matches. There's obviously a bunch of cup matches as well in Spain, Italy, and Germany. I'm going to go through all 10 Premier League matches. I have 1 pick in the 2 La Liga games. I have not done anything for the cup matches. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. I know Bayern and Leverkusen are playing in the DFB Pokal, which is a lot of fun. But that's what we're going to do tonight, like a typical Premier League, midweek slate. Going forward, I'm pretty sure the next live stream that I'm going to do, I'm going to try to do it Friday morning. Typically we like to get Wonder Goal out, Thursday mornings for everybody, just kind of keeping the same schedule. But I'd also, since I'm doing my own thing now, I would like to try and, let all the games play out first before we decide to talk about the next ones. So that's what we're going to do. So can't wait to bet Everton again. I don't know about that. Dude, we'll talk Everton. So yeah, what do we think, chat? Should we go chronological order? Or should we start with Arsenal and United? Because that's obviously the headliner here. What are we thinking? I'll leave it up to the chat here while I drink my tea. Chronological order. Should we start off Tuesday or should we go Arsenal? We got 1 vote for each. You know what? Let's go chronological. I think that's a good idea. All right, we're going to go chronological. So let's start off Tuesday. Let's go Tuesday. Ipswich Crystal Palace is the first matchup. This is 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday. Ipswich is 2-1. Palace is plus 137. The draw is at plus 230. Total is sitting at 2.5 minus 110 both ways. I like Palace here. So Palace has obviously not had the best start to the season, but I truly do believe that Glasner is starting to get his tactics right. I mean, they dominated Newcastle in the last match. Newcastle took one shot the entire match, just one. And by the way, Newcastle had a 55% field tilt and 51% possession. That's how good Crystal Palace was defensively. That's crazy how, and it's one. And the thing is I think I've said many times before, but when Palace can just sit in a mid block, when they don't try to press, when they just sit in a mid block, they are very, very good at doing that. And yes, of course, this season you look at their expected goals numbers, 1.42 non-penalty allowed per 90 is not very good, but they're elite at defending their penalty area. They are elite at defending crosses, and only 26% of the time when teams enter the final third are they getting into their penalty area. Oh, and by the way, third lowest expected threat allowed as well. They're just a really, really good defensive team. And now they're facing one of the worst offensive teams in the Premier League, who is honestly not having much success playing through the middle. So I really like Crystal Palace in this spot. But here's the biggest thing about Palace. So I have two bets for this match. One of them is going to be Palace draw no bet, which you can find minus 130 at Caesars right now. The other one kind of goes along with what I'm about to say. So if we think back to last season, why did Palace have their ascension towards the second half of the season that got them into the top half of the table? Well, it was because Glasner switched them to a 3-4-2-1, and he played Eze and Elise as dueling number 10s, and they just dominated everybody because those two were incredible playing with each other. So now what Glasner has done against Tottenham, he tried it for the first time, and they won, although they didn't create a lot of chances. He played Eze and Ismail Assar as dueling number 10s. Eze got hurt after the Tottenham match, so he was out for, I think, 3 matches. He came back for the match against Newcastle, and then Ismail Assar, they were playing as dueling number 10s. Why that's important is because typically when Palace builds out in their 3-2-5, Eze, Sarr, and even Mateta all have the ability to drop deep and build up. And what that does is it consistently pulls defenders either out of position or they're able to receive the ball in the half space with time on the ball. And as we know from guys like Ismail Sarr and Eze, if you give them time on the ball, they're going to kill you. And that's what's going to happen here to Ipswich. So either they're going to get pulled out of position, which allows the opposite end guy to make a run in behind to the vacated space, or the defenders are just going to sit back and allow those two to just have the ball. So I think that sets up Palace really, really well here on the spot. I know they're on the road where they haven't been as good, but Ismail Assar really benefited from Eze coming back. If you watch that match against Newcastle, Eze obviously draws a lot of attention because he's Crystal Palace's best attacking player. So Ismail Assar got 2 huge chances in the match. So Ismail Assar is minus 138 at Bet365 to have a shot on target. I love that. He's had a shot on target. He's had multiple shots on target in 3 of his last 4 matches. Again, in this type of system, now that Eze's back and he gets all the attention, frees up a lot for Ismail Assar. So, and also Ipswich, they've been improving, but they just don't have the talent to compete in this league. I mean, that's very clear. Like, basically, Kieran McKenna tried to make a championship all-star team, and suddenly they can't swing it here in the Premier League. So Crystal Palace draw no bet minus 130 at Caesars, and then Ismail Assar to have a shot on target minus 138 are the 2 bets that I really, really like for this match. Again, Ipswich Town minus 1.1 expected goal differential per 90, the worst in the Premier League. So the price is coming down here on Crystal Palace. I would not play anything past, draw no bet past minus 135. I have Palace projected at plus 103. So I think there's some value on Palace, and I think Glasner is a very good manager, and he is starting to get his tactics right. And Crystal Palace is a very good defensive team, especially in these type of scenarios. So really, really like Crystal Palace in this spot. Yeah, I got you betting against Ipswich again. Well, we're going to keep doing it for quite a long time. And here's the thing, is I think a lot of people will point to the last match against United where they'll say, oh, well, hey, you know what? Ipswich had a really good performance against United. 2 expected goals. Well, that was the first match under Moram, and United kept trying to push up the press and keep pressing, and they were horrible at it. If you didn't see it, there's a beautiful clip that I know over in England on I think it's Sky Sports, where they do tactical breakdowns every Monday. And Jamie Carragher did a beautiful breakdown of basically United's midfielders and center backs being too afraid to come up and aid in the press, and actually it allowed Ipswich a lot more space. That's not going to happen here. I mean, Crystal Palace could press, and they could have a troublesome time doing that. But Crystal Palace overall this season has been a full goal better on expected goals. So I think they should be closer to even money here. So. All right, that's that. Let's move on. This is 2:15 on Tuesday. Leicester and West Ham. Leicester is plus 190, West Ham plus 137. The draw at plus 250. Total is sitting over 2.5 is about minus 135. Under is about plus 110. The over's a little high here for me. I do kind of like the over. I would like to see that come down under minus 130. But it's Ruud van Nistelrooy's first match in the dugout for Leicester, which is going to be interesting. I don't think you're going to see Leicester play, a Steve Cooper, like very low defensive block. I think the Leicester matches will be more high scoring the further we get along here with Ruud van Nistelrooy. But the one thing that kind of reigns in my mind from Ruud's short time as the United manager, which funny enough, he beat Leicester twice, once in the League Cup and once in the Premier League, combined score 8-2. Not very many expected goals off of those 8 goals, but he didn't do an overhaul, like tactical change from what Erik ten Hag was doing, because he was his assistant. So like he had to go along with everything. Right. And I think there's a couple reasons why he didn't do that. Number one, I don't think that he really thought that an overhaul of tactics, the way that Amorum's doing right now for United, that he could actually do it in his short stint. And I think he was very clear that he knew he wasn't going to be the permanent manager. I think they told him that from the get-go. So he didn't make those overhaul changes to United's out-of-possession structure. But we do have a full season with Ruud van Nistelrooy. He was in charge of PSV during the 2022-2023 season. And one thing that he really loved at PSV, he loved wide overloads. He is not, your typical manager that comes in and says, well, we need to control possession. We need to control the middle, just like every other manager that comes in and tries to do that. He prefers those wide overloads. Well, West Ham just played a team that loves wide overloads in Arsenal. And what did they do? They killed them over and over and over again. So I think you'll see Leicester probably favor more of a mid-block to start out here with Van Nistelrooy. I think he eventually wants them to become a pressing team, raise the ceiling of what they are. But, Leicester does have experience pressing high. In the championship last season, they were 6th in high turnovers and 2nd in passes per defensive action under Maresca. So it's a team that, structurally, like, can press. It's not like they're, completely not used to doing that. But even playing a low block, Leicester, last 8 matches under Steve Cooper, 20.5 expected goals allowed. Their matches are averaging 3.75 expected goals over since September 28th. That is not good. Now, West Ham, will be getting Kudus back for this match, which obviously helps them a ton. He's their best attacking player by a pretty wide margin. And Lopetegui, though, I don't know how much longer he lasts, if we're being honest. He tried to go man-to-man against Arsenal. Like, I don't get what his deal was there, or what he was trying to accomplish. Because what happened was Arsenal said, okay, you're going to go 1v1. We'll just give the ball to Saka. He's our best player. And he killed Emerson over and over and over again. So the one guy, and if you want to bet a prop, Buonanotte, who plays right wing for Leicester, he shot on target again, minus 138. If you want to play a prop in this game, I kind of like that quite a bit. Buonanotte is leading Leicester in shots. He's getting about 2.5 shots per 90. He's somebody, if you've noticed, when he has scored his goals, A lot of them is him venturing into the middle of the penalty area when Leicester gets the ball out wide. Again, kind of goes back to that wide overload conversation, right? Is if Leicester is going to become a team that crosses more or a team that wants to get the ball out wide more, Buonanotte likes to find himself in the middle quite a bit. And he's also very good in 1v1s as well. So if he gets Emerson in 1v1s, I think he'll definitely have a great chance of getting a shot on target here. But I think the biggest thing in this match is that if you want to bet something, I think it's a good match to live bet. Game state's very important, especially in West Ham matches. You saw against Newcastle, they scored early. They kind of just sat deep and they just looked to counter pretty much for the entire match. Newcastle racked up, I think, 1.6 expected goals. So it wasn't like the best performance, but they gave away a lot of pretty decent chances once they went ahead. If you go back to the Everton match, that match stayed 0-0 for a long time. And, as the match goes along, teams tend to get a little more conservative instead of more aggressive. Both these teams, though, the brief times that they have held the lead in the Premier League, both of them are conceding over 2.5 expected goals per 90 minutes. Both of them are terrible at trying to defend leads and sitting in low blocks. So I think it's a fun match to live bet. Whoever goes behind, just betting the other side. So Buonanotte shot on target, -138 will be the one bet that I'll have for this match. I'll put that when I give out all my bets tomorrow morning. So there's your two Tuesday matches. Again, as we're going throughout this, I don't know if I'm behind on the chat here, but if you have questions, put it in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer anything. If you want to talk some crap to me, That's okay, because we're getting to we're going to get to Wednesday, this is a fun Wednesday. Also, one idea I had, if I have time to do it on Wednesday, I'd love to do it. I would love to do a watch along with people. Would people be down for that? If I were if I were just to go live at what would it be? All the matches start at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. Just go live, chat, give out some live bets, people will be down for that. All right, we'll see. We'll see if I can make it swing it on Wednesday for a couple hours. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 matches that start at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time and 2 matches that start at 3:15. If I went live at a little before 3 p.m. Eastern time, maybe that would be fun, right? We'll see. We'll see if I can make it work. But anyway, let's move on to Wednesday. Let's start off with the downfall. Manchester City is -264 against Nottingham Forest, who is sitting at +750. Draws at +375, and the total is 3, -110 both ways. I love Nottingham Forest here. I love them +1.5. If you follow me on Twitter, I have already bet them at +1.5 at +104. That line has since come up now. We're at +1.5 at -118. And I don't really see a way City is getting out of this hole. And I'll tell you why. I don't think there's a tactic that Pep has that can fix this, because they're too weak in the midfield. They're too light. They don't have physicality. Unless they're going to spend money in January, they need Kovacic back, and they need him to play at some type of elite level, but he's injured right now. So you have a very light midfield of Gundogan and Rico Lewis, who is neither of those guys are stopping the ball in transition. Neither of them. So that puts a lot of pressure on your back line, and you're already playing a high line. So that is where you have issues. Nottingham Forest is not the type of team that you want to play when you have physicality issues. That's the reason why they lost to Liverpool. It wasn't because Pep got his tactics completely wrong. In fact, I thought City actually early on, because we'll get to Liverpool in a second, but I thought they were doing a great job through the first phase of build-up of finding the free man. They were trying to overload the middle. But what happens is that when City, in the last couple of matches, they've been trying to overload the middle, and teams have just gotten in there and made it so congested that they just can't do anything. If you don't believe me, go look at the pass maps from that match. There's 5 or 6 guys that are just right next to each other. You can't win that way. I'm sorry. When it's that congested and you have no outlets out wide, it's just not going to work. So now you're going to face Nottingham Forest, who this stat blew me away. So I was going through the other night and I was logging all of the big scoring chances that have happened so far this season. Nottingham Forest has allowed one for the entire season. By the way, the definition that I like to use for big scoring chances, it varies by what it is. 0.35 xG on a shot is what I define a big scoring chance as. I saw that a while ago, and I really like that that kind of cutoff right there. One time this season, it was against Leicester, and they scored. Has Nottingham Forest allowed a shot with an xG rating over 0.35? That's insane. They are so good defensively at clogging up the middle of the pitch. You saw that when they played Liverpool at Liverpool, held them under one expected goal, didn't allow them to play through the middle, and didn't allow them any big scoring chances. They did concede 3 goals at Arsenal. Those 3 goals came off of 1.2 expected. So 2.1 expected goals in total on the road against both Arsenal and Liverpool. How are they conceding over 2 expected goals here against City unless we have some penalties? I don't see it. Nottingham Forest sitting in their 4-2-4 mid-block is so good. The only reason Arsenal was able to get them is because Arsenal went and did wide triangle overload, or what you tried to get wide overloads, but essentially they were getting in 3v3s out wide where, Arsenal's best players are out wide, and they were able to kind of get Nottingham Forest in those type of situations. City's not going to play out wide unless they start Doku and Savino in the same lineup. And even then, Pep's going to make them venture into the half spaces. He's going to push Gvardiol and Kyle Walker up. I just really don't see a scenario how City is coming back from this. Their defense is so bad. Nottingham Forest has the best ground duel win rate in the Premier League. They have the 3rd best final third to box entry conversion rate allowed. They are allowing 0.93 non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes. This is a really, really, really good defensive team. City's number 1 in a lot of offensive categories, but man, their defense gets exposed defensively over and over and over again because Pep continues to play a high line and they don't have any physicality in the midfield. So I don't think these problems are getting fixed anytime soon. I don't think there's a tactic that can fix them right now for Pep. So I like Nottingham Forest a lot here. If you want to bet them on the money line, I think that continue to bet the downfall because it's going to happen and it is going to be a precipitous downfall. I don't think City is coming back from this. I don't think they're ripping off 15 straight. That's not going to happen this year. A lot of people keep, I know there's a lot of people that keep saying, oh, well, good, we can get City at a better plus number. They're not coming back. They're going to be fighting for top 4 at this rate. And by the way, if they really have a downfall, we got a court date here early in 2025. So maybe they just recommend a 30-point deduction. We take a nice little mid-table finish and we move on with our lives. Just saying. I'm not going to bet on that, but I'm just saying they do have a court date early in 2025. All right. So love Nottingham Forest here. Hang on. I'm trying to read the chat here. Yeah. I hear Mr. Nice Guy. I love that name. I'm trying to be Mr. Not Nice Guy right now. It's one of those things that since they've been so good for so long, people just don't want to admit it. People just don't want to. People love to live in the past, especially in the betting world, man. People love to. You got to take these teams as they are right now, man. You can't be relying on what happened last year or 2 years ago, just how good the team was. I'm sorry, but City sucks right now. They're terrible. And nothing is getting fixed. And also, by the way, Pep's turning into Mourinho. Have people seen that? Holding up the 6 holding up the 6 over there. I loved it. He's entering his Mourinho phase, which I'm all here for. All right, let's move on. Newcastle, Liverpool. Liverpool is minus 134. Newcastle is plus 320. The draw is plus 300. Total is sitting at 3, minus 110 both ways. I think this line is completely right, and I really have nothing to add here. You could make the argument that maybe this line is venturing a little bit too high for Liverpool, but Ishak is most likely not going to play for Newcastle. Now, Callum Wilson's healthy, which helps things. But man, Newcastle defensively is terrible. And it's the positioning of their defenders is he is playing. Okay, well, then maybe we are getting a little bit too up. Because last I looked, he was 25% to play in this one. Let's take a look. So if he is playing, okay, all right. Well, if Ishak is playing, then maybe you can make a case for Newcastle, but I can't because their defense is terrible. Newcastle is, Hang on 1 second. Let me pull it up here. So Newcastle's defense is allowing 1.33 non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes. They've gotten by holding some pretty bad teams to under one expected goal. Teams like it seems like West Ham and Everton, quite frankly, unfortunately, defensively. But I mean, against Palace, they got completely dominated. They had a decent showing against Arsenal when they went ahead. They had a decent showing against City at home. And Newcastle's always very good when they play at home. The problem that I'm venturing with Newcastle right now is the positioning of their defenders. There's so much space between the two center backs, and even West Ham was like exploiting them over and over again in those type of spaces, and that's really, really concerning if you want to be a good defensive team. Also, Newcastle's at home, so I'm sure you'll see them press high in this type of manner. But if you want to press high against Liverpool, Liverpool's really good at their three-man combinations, and they're not going to try to play through the middle. The biggest thing of what Liverpool has done at Arne Slot is, number one, they're perfectly fine playing direct because Slot loves his matchups with Salah, Diaz, and whoever else he decides to play up top against 1v1 against the opposing defenders, which Salah in this case and Diaz on the other end against Newcastle's fullbacks is a great matchup. And he loves to get the ball out wide. He likes what he calls conservative buildup. Not necessarily trying to play through the middle, but trying to get, a 2 or 3 man combination out wide and try and build out through there and then eventually go back through the middle once you get through the first or second phase. By doing that, if you do lose the ball, you don't have teams just immediately transitioning right towards your goal, which makes sense, but also it's harder to build out through. I'll put it this way. It's harder to open up teams when you're constantly playing out wide. It's just the truth. That's why so many managers have put such a value on playing through the middle. So again, I have nothing here. I think that this is a pretty easy match to pass here. Can make the case if Ishak plays a full 90 minutes and is fully healthy that Newcastle might be a little bit unviewed, but I'm not gonna go there. Will be an interesting one of how Liverpool approaches it, because Liverpool, we are in fixture congestion zone right now because Liverpool's got to play. They got back-to-back away matches. They got Newcastle away, and then they got the Merseyside derby on Saturday. That's the lunchtime kickoff on Saturday. Which if Klopp was around, he would complain. I'm sure there would be a complaint about that. So, any futures around Europe? I'll get to. Well, we'll do futures at the end. I don't really have any right now, but I have some stuff that might help people. And then they got Girona in the Champions League, but Liverpool has pretty much already secured a top 8 spot. So I don't know how seriously they're going to take that match against Girona. So you might see some squad rotation coming up here for Liverpool. But in any case, no bet for me in Liverpool and Newcastle. Everton's beating Liverpool. That's for sure. I hope they do. I hope for Lieboff's sake they do. Man, that'd be so great. What is that line? I haven't looked at any of the midweek. Let's do a live. Let's play a game that I just invented called Guess the Lines. Gosh, we're gonna get Everton at +1.5 this weekend. Oh no, that's not good. Let's talk Everton. Let's talk Everton against Wolves. Everton is +110. Wolves is +250. The draw is +240. Over 2.5 is -110 both ways. Oh my gosh, I don't want to bet Everton. I don't want to. I have Everton at -123 here, so my numbers are telling me to bet Everton. But boy, I don't know if I can do it, man. I don't think I can do it. Oh my gosh. Everton's being too conservative. I'll say it. I think Deitch is being way too conservative. He needs to get way more aggressive with their out of possession stuff. And in possession too, quite frankly. They just, They play very direct, which is not really going to work here against Wolves. To beat Wolves, you got to be a team that builds out of the back and plays through them. Yeah, I got nothing in this match. It's going to be very game state dependent. Again, it's kind of similar to the Leicester-West Ham match. If you get an early goal, this match is probably going over. If you don't have a goal in the first half, it's probably going to end 0-0. So, one of those two areas. But yeah, Everton. Here's the other thing is I was doing my research for all of this today. This kind of struck me, and it just kind of tells the story of Everton's season. Everton last year, even last 2 years, Goodison Park has been a great place for them. They've been really good there. But this season, hang on, I'm on the wrong season. But this season, 5.8 expected goals created in 6 home matches. Only Leicester has created less at home. Can't get behind Everton here. I want to, but I can't. They'll win. They'll win this match 3-0. I know they will. But I can't do it. So, pass for me in Everton. And, yeah, I mean, he even got conservative against United, too. Like, they out of possession. Like, let's just go for it, man. Like, high block and go for it. Like, or if you're like, that's when Everton was at their best. Now he's just like, let's just get a set piece and let's try to hit it off a set piece. And, suddenly Everton's not hitting off set pieces. So it makes it a little bit harder to score. You got to be able to score from one play. And the thing is, like, I like the front three they have. Dwight McNeil, Endai, and Lindstrom. It's like, those are 3 really good players. Yeah, thank you, Antoine. Let's take one for the team and take Everton money line. They will win this game, I can promise you. Okay. The final 2:30 p.m. Eastern time match on Wednesday is, and then we'll get to 2 fun ones, Southampton and Chelsea. I like both teams to score here, -135. A couple notes for Southampton before we get started here. They're going to be missing quite a few guys in this match. Tyler Dibbling, Flynn Downs, Hardwood Bellis, they're all suspended. You could make an argument that's 3 of their best players, which is a big problem. So now all of Southampton's attacking players are healthy, so that's good news. But the way Chelsea likes to play out of possession with Maresca, he likes to be aggressive. He wants his team to press high. The times that Chelsea have been conservative are typically against teams that are going to control more possession than them, teams that they're worried about breaking them down. Teams like Arsenal, teams like Liverpool, even teams like Manchester United, for example. Southampton doesn't really fit that billing. Southampton will try to build out of the back. They will try to progress the ball through a lot of short passes. But what Southampton has also done this season is they've shown a more willingness, or as the season's kind of gone along, they've shown a more willingness to play direct. Yeah, Dibbling's amazing, but yeah, he's unfortunately he's suspended for this match. But Southampton actually has a 55% long ball completion rate. And if you've watched some of the goals they've had against some of the bigger teams, a lot of those goals have been as the result of a lot of long balls and direct play. So I think that bodes well here for Southampton. Fofana is out injured for Chelsea, which obviously makes a difference as well. But Southampton this season is actually 10th in big scoring chances in the Premier League, which is not what you would expect from the team that's sitting at the bottom of the table, right? They're actually second in build-up completion percentage, and they're also second in XG per set piece. So there are some paths to them actually scoring here. Now, defensively, it's kind of been there's been some changes that Russell Martin has made. He's kind of gone away from this, typical high press that he had in the championship. He's ventured Southampton back more towards a 5-4-1 mid block, which I think is better, much better for them. But again, when you have Bednarek is also injured for this match, so you essentially have like basically your two starting center backs are not going to be available. Flynn Downs and one of your best progressive midfielders is also out, and from a defensive standpoint as well, it also hurt. I have a hard time here seeing how Chelsea doesn't completely dominate. Now, that is the reason why Chelsea is sitting at minus 300. Now, can we be honest for a second and say that's kind of a crazy line? Because the reality is that, betting the Premier League sometimes can be not very fun. It's kind of similar to any sport, right? Where we have this team on the rise in Chelsea who's moving up the table. They're sitting at the same, position as Arsenal. They've gone from minus 225 from opening now to minus 300 because all of those guys from Southampton, like I just mentioned, are suspended. Also, Aaron Ramsdale is out. And, one match, they started Alex McCarthy. Lumley, was that the other guy they started against Brighton? Like, we're down to third choice goalkeepers here. Like, this is not a good situation for Southampton. So, if you want to ladder some Chelsea team totals, there's no problem in doing that. But in any case, I like both teams to score because Chelsea's going to play aggressive. They are overdue to concede. Last 6 Premier League matches, Chelsea has conceded 7.6 expected goals. Often then have only scored 4. Last 2 matches, they've conceded over 3 expected goals total and have not given up a goal. Again, no Fofana available. I know Chelsea has a billion center backs back there, but Fofana and Colwell is clearly their best center back pairing. So, and again, that left side of the pitch is where Southampton has done a lot of their damage this season. If you know what Chelsea is doing tactically, they typically like to, when they're in possession, Malo Gusto inverts into that number 10 role if they're not playing Enzo Fernandez. So if you move your right back out there, then, you're obviously leaving space out on the left. So we're due for a Sanchez mistake. That's right. What is Sanchez's? And Robert Sanchez is, one second, I want to look at his post-shot XG plus minus right now. He's a plus 1.4. So he's been a very average keeper this season. So yeah, both teams score minus 135. I believe that price you can find is at, I saw Hard Rock. Let me find more. I know it was at, I think it was ESPN Bet was the other book it was at, I believe. Don't quote me. Hang on. Let me look it up really quick. But yeah, the total is getting up to 3.5 here, which I didn't like. Like, I would love to get like 3 at minus 110. I have 3.7 goals projected for it, but now we're getting up to 3.5 sitting around even money. I don't like that at all. I would prefer to 3 because I could see a scenario where Chelsea wins this 4-0, but I think Chelsea's way overdue to concede here, and Southampton's not a horrible offensive team. So yeah, both teams to score minus 135, which is available again at Hard Rock and ESPN Bet. So, all right, let's talk Arsenal. The best team in the Premier League. Maybe the best team in the world. The last 3 matches. Arsenal is sitting at, Arsenal sitting at minus 225. United is 6-1. The draw is plus 350. Total is sitting at like 3 plus 110 in that range. Chelsea team total over 2.5 at even money. Ladder it is. Yeah. I mean, just go ahead and do it, I guess. All right. I love Arsenal minus 1.5 here. I've already tweeted it out. I gave out Arsenal minus 1.5 at plus 125. You can still find Arsenal. Hang on one second. You can still find Arsenal minus 1.5 plus 123 at Bet Rivers is the best price you can find right now, which I would still take. I see this as one-way traffic. And I know people are going to say I'm biased, but probably because I am. But we just literally watched Arsenal play Amorum's Sporting. It was quite literally the second match after a 6-0 win in a cup match against some lower level team in Portugal. It was the first real match that Sporting was playing without Amorim under their B team coach, under the exact same tactics, and Arsenal hammered them. So what do you think is going to happen in this match? There are problems with United right now that are not getting fixed anytime soon. It is going to take a season and a lot of players that come in to fix United. And it goes down to the core problem is they are not a good pressing team. And Amorim wants them to continue pressing. Arsenal's a really good build-up team that is very versatile, that can play both direct and play a lot of short passes through you. So, yeah, all the hype for United beating Everton this weekend. United got what? One expected goal total? They capitalized off a couple errors from Everton, which is fine. But United is going to be without Kobe Manu and Lisandro Martinez for this match, who are both suspended, along with all the other injuries that they are dealing with. Not having Manu and Lisandro Martinez is really a big problem for, first off, building out of the back. Though I'd say those are probably your two most crucial guys to get through the first and second phases. Because now United has a couple of options they can do in the midfield. They can play Eriksen, which can give them more ability to play long balls, build out of the back, but you lose physicality and you lose good pressing ability. You could play Ugarte and Casemiro as a midfield pairing, and then you lose the ability to actually have guys that are actually good on the ball playing out of the back, but you gain guys that are decent at pressing and at least good ball winners in the midfield. So you could do that. Neither options are really that good for what Amorim wants to do. And the way Amorim wants to play is he wants to man-to-man press. It's pretty simple. He's wanted to do that. He's done that all the time at Sporting. The first couple matches against United, he wants them to man-to-man press. They were terrible at it in his first match against Ipswich because United is unsure and not ready to press the way that his team wants them to. Arsenal is going to play right through that the same way that Ipswich did. And the one thing that Arsenal did really well against Sporting is if you get a chance tonight, go back and watch the highlights and go watch how the first goal happened. Arsenal is playing through the middle at the lowest rate of anybody in the Premier League. They love wide overloads. They love them. They got a 4v5 wide overload against Sporting. It allowed Saka to get free, or I think it was Timber who ended up actually getting the ball. Whoever got the ball got free and then put a beautiful cross in for the goal because they had a 5v4 and they found the free man and they put it in. They can do the exact same situation here. The exact same thing. Especially without Lisandro Martinez back there. Like, it makes it so much more difficult for United. And here's the other thing. Set piece FC is back, baby. 2 straight matches Arsenal's had a goal off set piece. Gabriel. I mean, I watched a video on it the other day, what Arsenal did against Sporting to like basically the dunk that Gabriel had. What Arsenal did, and they've done a couple different set piece routines. They put everybody at the back post, which kind of, you know what it also reminds me of, and I love it. It kind of reminds me of Rob Edwards' Luton Town, some back post overloads. They put 6 guys back there, and so what Sporting did is they said, well, we need 4 guys in the front post, like we need to be able to defend it because they're playing kind of zonally. So what Arsenal got was a 6v4 on the back post. Gabriel beat his guy, and there you go. You had 7 guys versus 4, and Arsenal's probably going to win that battle. United is allowing the highest XG per set piece in the Premier League right now. I think this is one-way traffic. I think Arsenal hammers them, given the state that United is in right now. Even Amorim said it in his press conference against Everton because he made a bunch of changes. He's like, our guys are gassed because he wants them to press so much. They're not used to it. So I love Arsenal here. I love the -1.5 again, +123 at Bet Rivers. It's the best price you can find. One-way traffic. I think Arsenal hammers them. Yeah, Arsenal transition defense is so good. It's so good. Arsenal defensively again. In 11v11 situations, only Liverpool is allowing fewer expected goals per 90. This is kind of a good segue to talk title odds. Arsenal's got a little bit of a tricky schedule coming up here. I wouldn't play Arsenal at plus 250 right now. I think that price is a little too low. I think I put out my simulations the other day. I still have value on Liverpool. Like, I have Liverpool, 70%? So that's closer to minus 250. I mean, Liverpool got through their most difficult stretch of the season with perfection. So, again, I think that if you want to bet anything in the Premier League, I know the price is now kind of at a line. Minus 175 is kind of a high price to pay. But technically, I'm still projecting value on Liverpool to win the title. So, so I think it's a pretty deep, if you want to bet it, talk title. I'll have some more stuff on futures at the end, and I'll chat with everybody about that. But yeah, that's Arsenal. Let's move on. Final one, Aston Villa, Brentford. This is the final match on Wednesday, 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Aston Villa is minus 125. Brentford plus 333. The draw at plus 275. And total is sitting at 3 minus 110. I don't really have anything for this match. If I were to look at anything, both teams have scored, and over 2.5 is, I think, sitting around minus 120. Let me double check that before we move on here, but I'll just chat and I'll look up that price while we're doing this. Aston Villa is struggling. I think we have 7 straight matches without a win in all competitions. They kind of got hosed against Juventus. But yeah, bad performance against Chelsea on the weekend. I don't think this is really a bounce back spot, because here's the deal. I would have loved, you know me, I don't bet against Brentford. Okay. If you're new to this, we don't bet against Brentford here. We love Brentford. If you would have given me Brentford at, plus a half at plus 110, plus 115, plus 120 in that range, man, I would have been all over that. I would have been coming here and I would have just been like, yes, it's time to bet the bees, baby. Let's go. But plus 105, I don't like that price. I don't like it. I think if you want to bet Brentford, I think you go all the way. I think you go money line. I am projecting a little bit of value in their money line. Maybe I'll give it an underdog parlay here at the end, and we'll do that. But okay, so both teams score over 2.5 is minus 125. I don't hate that. Brentford just gives up goals for fun, man. And it kind of comes down to what's going to happen here is that I think you'll see Brentford from the get-go come out and try and press Villa. I think they're going to come out and they're going to come right after them. But what Villa does is they are very consistently really good at building through bad pressing teams. And I would not consider Brentford a good pressing team in this juncture. But here's what I will say is that one of the reasons why you maybe should venture more towards the Brentford money line is with Villa playing their high line, Buemo, Visa, Schade, all of the great transitional attackers that Brentford have can get in behind that high line. They are so good at getting in. If you don't believe me, go watch the Leicester match. Go watch the match against Bournemouth. Man, that's all I can see happening here. Is just there's going to be so many chances with Brentford getting in behind. Oh, and guess what? Emi Martinez is injured. Robin Olsen's in goal. So now you have a situation where Aston Villa's, Unai Emery wants his team to build out of the back. He doesn't want to play direct here against Brentford. He wants to control this match. I know he does. So that leaves him in a little bit of conundrum with a goalkeeper who's not very good on the ball. So, man, I'm talking. I'll be on Brentford money line here. I'll go I'm going to go half unit on Brentford money line because I don't really like the plus a half price. I have Brentford at plus 270-ish, I think, somewhere in that range. Let me give you the best price on Brentford right now, real quick before we move on. So yeah, Brentford money line plus 333, bet 365. Brentford struggle on the road. There's no doubt about it, and that's why I think you got to go for this. Take the risk. Take the risk and go for it, because Aston Villa is struggling. Their buildup is struggling, and yeah, they are struggling in the final third, but defensively, I mean, that high line, the space that, like the compact space that Unai Emery likes to have, they're just not there right now. Chelsea too many times was receiving the ball in the half space and with a lot of able to turn on goal. So, um, yeah, I like Brentford quite a bit here. Brentford money line half a unit plus 333. Let's go all the way on the bees. It's gonna hurt when this ends in a draw, but that's okay. But yeah, I would say either Brentford money line or both teams to score and over 2.5 goals and minus 125 are the two ways that I would bet this match. Let's move on to Thursday. We got two matches on Thursday. First up at 2:30 Eastern time, Fulham at home against Brighton. Excuse me, I'm just trying to get back to the odds page. Fulham is sitting at plus 135. Brighton's plus 187. The draw is at plus 260. And your total for this match is 3 plus 105-ish in that range. I don't have a lot because I think this line is right. I don't think you can really make a case for either team at this price. I mean, yeah, sometimes you just, look at the market, you say, all right, this line's right. I mean, there's really no need for me to dig into this because if I dig further and further, I don't think I'm going to convince myself either way. So I got nothing unless anybody in the chat has a strong opinion. I got nothing for this one. I think the line's right. It's right I have it projected. So I think it's time we just move on. Let's move on to the final match because now, can we be honest here that this is the most fun match of the slate? Bournemouth, Tottenham. This is fun. This is a lot of fun right here. Bournemouth is come down. Bournemouth was at 2-1. Now they've come down. Bournemouth is getting close to being a favorite here. Plus 162. Tottenham is sitting at plus 145. The draw is at plus 275. Total is 3.5 at round even money, somewhere around there. Yeah, this is a ton of fun. The bet that I like for this one quite a bit is Bournemouth team total over 1.5 at minus 115, which you can find at Caesars right now. So Tottenham is going to be without Van de Ven for this match. Romero is questionable. So now you're getting in a situation where, oh boy, we got Dragishin and Ben Davies again at center back pairing against this all the great attackers that Bournemouth has. We have a situation where Bournemouth's the best pressing team in the Premier League. They are. And no Vicario, Fraser Foster's going to be back there, who also is not very good on the ball. So Tottenham has kicked the ball long approximately 0 times this season. They're going to go short from goal kicks against Bournemouth's press. Bournemouth is top 5 at turning opponents over in dangerous areas. They're number 1 in ball recoveries this season. They are so good at pinning you to one side of the pitch and basically forcing you into either a direct long ball over the top, which they've been very good at defending. They're one of the best teams at defending long balls, or just flat out turning you over and just turning those into great opportunities. Ange is very stubborn. He wants to play his way, which, can be commendable in some ways, but in other ways, and I've said this before, and I'm not going to go down this path because this could be like a 20-minute discussion, but I think some of the best managers in the world are managers that are versatile. I cannot get over certain managers who are like, this is the way, like, it's fine to have an identity. Like, that's perfectly fine. But if you can't be versatile in different situations, given injuries, given other situations, I just think you're completely limiting yourself as a manager. And that's what Ange has done with Tottenham. Honestly, you're seeing it happen with Pep too. Like, Pep probably should have stopped trying to play a high line against Liverpool and like getting his guys 1v1 across the back line. He probably should have sat deeper, but he didn't do it, and he got killed for it. What was I going to look up as I was talking? Bournemouth plus 120 away at Ipswich. Yeah, they will lose that match. but they will create 2.7 expected goals to Ipswich is 0.6. That's how that match is going to go. I can already tell you. I was going to look up injuries real quick because I wanted to check one thing for Bournemouth. But in any case, so last season, Bournemouth went to Tottenham when they were in their ascension, right? So they had the 11 matches to begin the season where they were terrible. And then they went on this run where I think they ripped off 5 of 6, I think it was, or something like that. They went to Tottenham. They lost 3-1. In that match, they created 1.7 expected goals, and they took 24 shots at Tottenham, not at home, at Tottenham. We've already seen them at home this season beat City. They have beaten Arsenal. Even when they lost to Chelsea, they beat them on expected goals 1.6 to 0.7. The reason I like Bournemouth team total as opposed to just money line is there is a scenario where they try to press and Tottenham plays through them. There definitely is a scenario because Bournemouth they do allow chances and they have a game state problem. You've seen it. Against Brentford, they out of the gates, they had like 2 expected goals right out of the gates, and then the match just flips because what happens is, and I've said this before, is that when they get ahead, they just keep coming at you. Like they just keep pressing. And teams, since they go down, they're more likely to play direct. So that becomes a problem for Bournemouth. Semenyo, it looks like, will be back for this match. Same thing with Lewis Cook. So that is obviously positive. So basically, Bournemouth is completely healthy, whereas Tottenham, the injury list is going. No Vicario. Bentancur is also still serving his suspension. Van de Ven is out. Again, Romero is 50-50 for this match. Solanke even has an illness. So it is it's bad times here for Tottenham. I will say this, though. Fraser Foster was good at shot stopping against Fulham. I thought he had a great game. So I don't think Tottenham's necessarily I think from a goalkeeper's perspective, I don't think Tottenham's going to be completely fall off a cliff because Fraser Foster's in there. He's just not as good on the ball as Vicario is. So again, and if you don't have Van de Ven and Romero in there, that leaves you very, very vulnerable. So I have Bournemouth projected for about 1.8 goals in this match. So I like over 1.5 and minus 115. Again, I think this is a very back and forth match. And the Bournemouth game state thing, it really does worry me. They scored early on against Wolves and just immediately conceded. That stuff is really concerning. So I would rather than play team total here. I think that's the best way to go about it. I had the match from a money line perspective. I probably should have played Bournemouth early, and I just missed it. That's the thing about betting sometimes is the decision making and the timing of things. I had value on Bournemouth, draw no bet at plus 125. I was maybe thinking I can get a plus a half under minus 150, and it just that just never was going to come. And I should have just played the draw no bet at plus 125 and went into Monday. Went into Monday morning, got up this morning, and it was basically a pick 'em, which is right where I have it projected. So I'd rather play Bournemouth team total over 1.5 at minus 115. All right, that does it for the Premier League. There are 2 La Liga matches, and I like the one on Tuesday, and I like Mallorca +1 against Barcelona. So if you don't know, Mallorca on the island is incredible. This season against Real Madrid, they drew them 1-1, and they beat them on expected goals 1-0.6. Atletico Madrid came to the island. They did beat Mallorca 1-0. Expected goals was 0.6 to 0.6. They drew Barcelona on the island last year. They are a very, very difficult team at home. They're a very, very good defensive team as well. Got a great win over the weekend against Valencia, I think it was. Yeah, it was Valencia. And they're just a really good low block team. They're really difficult to play through. And I know Barcelona, with playing their high line, they leave themselves very vulnerable to decent transition teams, which Mallorca is. They're moving up in the table here, and they're having a really good season. So I like Mallorca +1, which is about minus 110 at Bet365. Don't really have much for the Bilbao Real Madrid match. if Real Madrid has a lot of injuries, if they were fully healthy, I could maybe make a case for them at plus 120, but I can't with all the injuries that they have. So that will do for that. Does anybody now? We're at an hour now, so I'm going to open it up. Does anybody have any questions about cup matches? I know we got cup matches in Spain, Germany, and Italy this week. The Island Boys. That's right, the Island Boys. Also, Mallorca's best striker was suspended for the match last weekend. He should be back here. Lazio, Napoli. Hang on, I'll answer that when I look up the line here. Or do we have lines for Coppa Italia? Lazio is +1. Here, I'll do a live projection for you really quick while we're doing that, because typically when I bet matches, I need to look at my projection first before I make an opinion on something, because it's all indicative of the price that we're given, right? I have a little value on Napoli, which is not surprising in any case. I mean, Napoli's been really, really good this season. Lazio, I need to dig more into Lazio. Like their underlying metrics have been much better than they have been in years past. But Napoli, man, under Conte, only allowing 0.72 non-penalty expected goals per 90. They're going to play Lazio back to back. That's fun. Barcelona was really good against Las Palmas. They just got the bad end of variance. So if I were to bet anything in Lazio and Napoli, I would potentially take Napoli. The hard part about these cup matches, and this is kind of goes along the lines with everything, that's why I didn't really do much for them, is because it's pretty indicative of what lineups teams decide to play. I think nowadays teams are more in line to play full strength lineups in these cup type matches as opposed to years past, because of the money in football now. It's just like, teams are paying a lot of money for tickets. They want to see the best team on the field, right? Lazio lost their first match. They had ripped off 7 straight in all competitions. Although it was kind of against lesser competition, teams like Genoa, Como, Cagliari, Monza, and Bologna. They lost 3-1 to Parma, but it was 2.5 to 1.5 expected goals. Napoli will be their first big test. The one time they had to actually play a really good team, because they drew AC Milan early on in the season when AC Milan was in their funk. But the one really good team that they've had to play 2 pretty good teams. One was Fiorentina and one was Juventus. Against Fiorentina, they got hammered on the road, 1 expected goal, 2.7, and then at Juventus, they did have a red card, so you got to take it with a grain of salt, but they did nothing offensively for the entire match. So if I were to play anything, it would be Napoli, probably draw no bets, but I would probably wait and see lineups, make sure all of Napoli's best players are playing. Bayern Leverkusen. I looked at the line for this one. It's about the same as it was. The totals, in the previous Bayern Leverkusen match, I bet under 3.5, which was, I think, plus 110, plus 120, somewhere in that range. Total's now like 3. So that total's gotten in line with probably right around where I have it. Bayern sitting at minus 134. Bayern dominated Leverkusen in that match. Leverkusen took 2 shots, 0.07 expected goals. The only goal they had was from outside the box. And it just comes down to the fact that Bayern's counter-pressing is really, really good. I saw Harry Kane went off with an injury against Dortmund. I apologize. I wasn't watching the match live. I was busy. I'm just looking up injuries really quick because I haven't seen an updated status on Harry Kane. Maybe somebody can put in the chat if they've seen it, of what it is. Harry Kane, late December, it looks like. So he's going to be out. And that's probably why you see the total kind of down here. And that means Matthias Tell is probably going to be your main striker here in this type of match, unless Vincent Kompany tries to go with some type of false 9. So yeah, I got nothing. I think Bayern's counter pressing has been incredibly good this season, but without their main striker, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of fare with that. That Girona match, man. Talk about a gut punch. They came all the way back, and then they had their equalizer fired off, and I was doing stuff around my house, and I had just I was just watching. I wasn't actually watching it, and I saw the goal. I fist pumped, and I went back to doing what I was doing. I came back a couple minutes later, and I got the notification that we been VAR'd off, and it was just like the biggest gut punch ever. I was just like, oh my gosh, we did all that work to come back here, and then 98th minute equalizer. Whew, that was great. I loved that. Underdog parlay. Yeah, let's do an underdog parlay here real quick before we do some of these other matches. So we're gonna put Brentford in there, and we're gonna put Mallorca in there. Now we need a third team to put in there, and I would say that Forest. Hang on, let's do that one. That's a fun one. I can't remember what the underdog parlay was, or if we had one. I think it all lost. Yeah, Forest, Brentford, and Mallorca. 223 to 1. There you go. There's your underdog parlay. All right. Juve, Bologna, correct score, 0-0. Yes. It's a pretty simple answer, yes. Barcelona doesn't have issues. That's just like people are exploiting what their weakness was to begin the season. Like people hadn't been Barcelona doesn't have their issues were clear to begin with under Hansi Flick. They play a high line. They like to overload the middle, and they're going to be vulnerable in wide areas. And when teams are able to attack them and expose their high line, you're playing a gamble with a high line, right? If you're good at it, it can be very favorable to counterpress from that type of situation. But when teams can exploit you, you're going to give up, you're going to get in situations like you did against Las Palmas where teams can score low quality chances because they have the numerical advantages out wide. So and that's just it's a risk versus reward that Hansi Flick likes to do. The risk is that, yes, you can be exposed in transition, but the reward is that you are going to be able to overload the middle and you're going to be able to overwhelm teams. That's just that's modern football, to a T. So Barcelona doesn't have issues. They're doing a risk versus reward. Sometimes you're rewarded and sometimes it goes against you. That's football. So also Yamal's been out for a while, so that obviously hurts them. When is Yamal coming back? I know last I saw, did he play over the weekend? I don't think he did. Oh, he's back. Okay, never mind. He's back. My bad. So yeah, getting Yamal back will obviously help Barcelona. Because when you overload the middle and you get 1v1s in wide areas, well, there you go. You got one of the best wingers in the world to just crush teams. So yeah, if Barcelona's issues, they don't have issues. They're just they are what they are. Why is Mbappe trailing Madrid? Because he's not a number 9. He's a left winger. It's pretty simple. He's playing out of position, and it takes some time to be integrated in that type of role. I think eventually they'll figure it out. I remember talking to Debundo once when, obviously Mbappe was going to, I said, how is this going to work? Vinicius Jr. is a left winger. There's no way they can play guys in the same positions. Are you going to move him to right wing and move Rodrigo out of there? And he said, well, you'll just figure it out. And eventually they will figure it out. But right now they're just struggling with it because Mbappe is not a true number 9. And Real Madrid, when they're at their best, they have a true number 9. His name was Benzema, and they were really good with him. No, I'm not rolling with Everton. I'm sorry. I've already discussed them. They are being too conservative right now. They have created the second fewest expected goals at home, which is really, really concerning. And I just don't have it in me this week to bet Everton. I'll have it in me to bet them in the Merseyside derby, but I just don't have it in me for the midweek here. Leipzig and Frankfurt. What's the total? What's the total in that match? Frankfurt overs, man. Frankfurt overs are the way to go. I've cashed a couple of them recently, and maybe we can keep getting decent over. Maybe they can keep setting over 2.5 because I said it during the Europa League stream. What was that? Last Monday? Yeah, it was last Monday. They're a terrible defensive team because they're trying to press and they can't do it effectively. Frankfurt's dead last in passes per defensive action in the Bundesliga right now. We had another over against Heidenheim. They scored 3 goals, which is wonderful. But what was the? Hang on a second. Let me just look up there. But they are still allowing in the Bundesliga 1.65 expected goals per 90 minutes. Yeah, there was 3.3 expected goals in that Heidenheim match that they won 4-0. They try to press. They're just not as good with it. They've been better defensively as of late. Omar Mamouche is going off. Who's going to win the Champions League? It's a good question. Fun thing right now is I'm working on creating simulations for the Champions League. That process of doing the tournament format just takes a long time. So hopefully I'll get that done sometime in the near future. Probably we're going to have so the Champions League is going to be back next week. And then there's like a month break after that. We'll have a better picture of what the larger percentage chances of what each team's chance of getting each seed is. So I'll hopefully have Champions League simulations done and ready to go in January. But Claudio Ranieri, they got killed today, 2-0. But yeah, if I had to pick something right now, here, let me pull up the Champions League odds really quick while I'm doing this. Actually, hang on, let me finish my thought on Frankfurt. I'm doing like 3 different thoughts at once right now, which is not great live streaming. Yeah, so the Leipzig-Frankfurt total is sitting at 3 plus 110 right now. Let me just do a quick projection on that so I have an idea of what I have. I have the total at 3.7. Interesting. So yeah, I'll take the over in that match. They have not played Leipzig yet this season, but again, Frankfurt matches are averaging 3.67 expected goals per 90 man. Like, they're a very good offensive team. They're very good in transition. They can definitely expose RB Leipzig. They're horrible defensively. Horrible. They've been better the last few matches because they've played Heidenheim, Michelin, Werder Bremen. The last good team they played was Stuttgart, and they conceded 2.5 expected goals. Marmouche is making a move this summer. I know where he's going. He's going to replace the other Egyptian at Liverpool. That's where he's going. Are we ending the year of Marco Rosa at Leipzig because they've lost 5 of 6? Last match against Wolfsburg, 5 goals, 2.2 expected goals allowed. Man, oh boy, we might be nearing the end, which I don't want to see for my friend Anthony. I know he loves Rosa a lot, but it's getting bad here for Leipzig. They're conceding 1.4 expected goals per 90, which is not good. They're supposed to be one of the better defensive teams in the Bundesliga. So you could take it. Yeah, he's definitely very talented. So yeah, over in Leipzig and Frankfurt, over 3 plus 110 in that range would be that. Futures. So I mean, here's the thing with futures. So in the Google sheet will be in the description of this at the end, but you can also find it on my Twitter. It's in my bio. I carried over all of my futures that I had originally tracked on the Action Network app over, just so just so they're there. I've already tracked them, so I've already bet them. I'm obviously very heavily invested in Ipswich getting relegated. I'm heavily invested in Everton and Wolves now staying up. I've been heavily invested in Arsenal to win the Premier League. I got them at plus 190 before the season. And then I just recently put a pretty big bet, a 3-unit bet on Liverpool plus 125. So those were the futures that I have already bet. I get that people might be coming in and they say, hey, man, I want to bet futures now. Ipswich. If I had to bet a future right now, it'd be Ipswich to be relegated, which, I mean, I have them at over 80% to be relegated. And they are, what is 4-7? Is that minus 175? They're minus 175 to be relegated right now. If you were to bet a future, that would be it. If you want to parlay Liverpool to win the title and Ipswich to be relegated, if it'll let you do that to get a better price, that's what I would do. But I think Ipswich is going down. I think Kieran McKenna is a good manager who's getting his team a lot better. They are the least talented team in this league, and this talent's just not going to outweigh itself over the long run. So if I had to bet any Premier League future right now, it would be Ipswich to be relegated at minus 175 again. I bet them at even money before the season when the odds first came out, so I'm already very heavily invested in them. I'm not going to do it. I'm not just going to add on more to my position. In terms of top four, Brighton at 6-1 is kind of interesting. I have them at +4. Excuse me. Let me just pull it up here really quick while we're doing this so I can give you an accurate of what I have. When I redid my odds, I have Brighton at +588. So like that's the only thing I would look at for top four. Yeah, I would say if you're going to bet anything for top four, I think Brighton is the only one that really has a chance in that. So as far as I'll get the UCL prediction here in a second. As far as futures are concerned, hoping that I have something coming out, hopefully Wednesday. If not, it'll come out Friday, where you can get all my analysis in one place. You can get all, and I'll have a video with everything that I'm going to be doing. Very excited for it. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I think it'll be really good. It'll help out not only these live streams because I'm trying to spout everything off here, but it will, for those who just love consuming content surrounding this beautiful game, to people who love betting it, it will basically be what I did at the Action Network on steroids. It'll be all the ideas that I had that were shot down that I'm just going to do. It's going to be everything. So a lot of these questions, hopefully I'll be able to answer for you in this week. And we can do a lot more content surrounding it. So yeah, that is what's coming down the line for me. Stay tuned. Again, hopefully Wednesday. If not Wednesday, it'll be Friday. I have some hopefully pretty exciting news for everybody. If you enjoyed any of my written content, or if you enjoy betting this. So, yeah, Wonder Goal's dead. This is what we're doing now. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube. It does help me out. Yeah, if there's no more questions, I'm going to end this live stream. Enjoy the midweek slate. It's the first one of the season. This is a lot of fun. And yeah, I might, you know what, if that news that I have drops on, I do not think Barcelona gets the win. No, I like Mallorca +1. If that news that I have drops on Wednesday, which I hope it does, I will hopefully maybe do a live watch along in the middle of all the Wednesday matches. So I can answer any questions regarding that news and we can just kind of chat and have some fun. Next live stream is going to be Friday morning. I don't know what time yet, but it's going to be Friday morning. I'll also hopefully, as we go down the line here, maybe have some more guests, get Anthony back on, maybe get some more people back on here as we go. Maybe we can get him and Michael back together for one more of these. But I'm going to keep doing these. Quick rundown of the bets that I have. Yes, that's probably a good idea before I leave here. So bets I have are Crystal Palace, draw no bet at -130. Ishmael Assar, shot on target, -138. Buonanotte in the Leicester West Ham match, shot on target, -138. Chelsea, Southampton, both teams to score at -135. Nottingham Forest, +1.5. Arsenal, -1.5 at +123. Brentford, half unit on the money line, +333. And then Bournemouth team total over 1.5 at -115. I think that's all of them. And then Mallorca +1, -110 against Barcelona. And then also throw in Leipzig, Frankfurt over 3 at +110. I have no opinion on Fulham, like I've already said before. I think that they, I just have really no opinion on them at this current juncture. Okay, so that will do it for this live stream. Final thing before I go, somebody asked for a Champions League winner. Arsenal. I'll see you on Friday.